Hello guys, my name is Balakrishna Srivastava and welcome to Code with PK. So in this video, we write a Java code to create a tic-tac-toe game that we can play on Java Swing GUI. So when our code is done, we get something like this. We can play a tic-tac-toe game on this window. So player X goes first, then player O turn, then player X, player O turn, player X1. Okay. Then we go again, player X, player O, player X, player O, player X, player O, player O1, right? And this is how our program will look at the end. So before we begin, it is a request to please subscribe to my channel, because out of 100 viewers, only 3, 4, 5 are subscribed. More than 95% of my audience is not subscribed, and your subscription is very important. So please do subscribe to my channel. So let's begin. So in the previous version of this video, we were able to create a game, okay, that we played, right? So we were able to create classes to play this tic-tac-toe game. Okay, so if I enter 0, 1, then 4, then 2, then 8, and player x1. Okay, so this is a very functional basic command line game, okay, that we have covered in the previous two videos. In this video, we play the same game, but we use a Java Swing GUI. We play the game on Java Swing GUI, and we will use most of the code from this previous version of this tic-tac-toe, and we will add code to create the GUI, the view. Okay, so first I'm going to explain you how our GUI is supposed to look, how it will look. We code the view, then the GUI, we test if what we have coded is correct or not, and then we link our GUI to this current code of tic-tac-toe. Okay, so I want my tic-tac-toe game to look like this basically. So if this is my window, okay, of my GUI, I want a message on top. Okay, so this is some message. So this basically indicates the flow of the game, player X turn or player O turn. Okay, just a message on top. And then we have 3 by 3 buttons. Okay, okay, for a 3 into 3 board, we have buttons on which we can click. Okay, okay, for example, this is X turn. Okay, so whatever click, wherever the user clicks, will be marked as X. For example, if the user clicks here, it will be marked as X. Okay, and then the turn changes to O turn. Okay, and then wherever you click will be marked O, and that is how the game will progress. And finally, if player X wins or O wins or the game drawn, we will have a message on this window. Okay, all right, this is what we're supposed to create. Now how do we create this on Java Swing GUI? Okay, so this thing is called, okay, this thing is called your JFrame. Okay, the window. Okay, it contains the components, the panels on which we add the controls. Okay, so this JFrame will basically contain one main panel. Okay, contains main panel, and this main panel will further contain, so JFrame contains main panel, and main panel will further contain two panel, the one at the top, so I'll say top panel, and one at the center as center panel. Okay, and this center panel in turn will contain our 3 into 3 buttons. So buttons will be square. Okay, this is not square. Okay, so 3 into 3, 9 buttons. Okay, and that's how our GUI is supposed to look like. Okay, so inside a main JFrame, we have a main panel which contains two panels, top panel and center panel, which contains these buttons. Okay, now how are we going to align these panels in the way we want? Okay, so the main panel, okay, will follow the border layout. Okay, so we have layout in Java Swing to place components, okay, based on a particular layout. In this case, this is a border layout. Okay, so border layout contains north, west, east, south, and center. Okay, so north is going to be our top panel, which will just basically contain the label message. Okay, and then we have the center panel in the center of this border layout, which will contain the buttons. Okay, now this center panel, okay, center panel in turn, okay, will have to have its own layout to display this buttons as a grid. So this has a grid layout. Okay, that will have 3 by 3 buttons. Okay, the layout of top panel, we can have a flow layout. So flow layout is basically Swing adds controls from left to right in a flow as much as can fit in one single line, and then moves on to the second line. So since we are going to have one single label, a low flow layout is going to put the label in the way we want. Okay, so let us just construct the GUI using this idea, and then we see if we get the right view or not. Okay, so I will write a new class. I will name this Tic Tac Toe Game View Java. We can say just view. Okay, not saying it Java Swing. All right. Now, since this is supposed to be a JFrame, I'm going to say extends JFrame. Okay, let's just code the constructor first. Public tic-tac-toe game view. Okay, and we will set everything that we are supposed to set with the main frame, the JFrame. Okay, so set size. Okay, we can say 400 by 300. Okay, then set title. Okay, of tic tac. Okay, then we set something called default operation on close, so that when we close the GUI window, we want the program to exit. If we don't do that, the window is closed but the program does not exit. I'll show you how. So set default operation on close. So set default operation dot close JFrame dot exit on close. Okay, setting this will basically terminate the Java program once you close this window. Okay, and show the window. Okay, so we had this show method, but this is deprecated now. So we say set visible to. Okay, all right. So in my main, I create tic-tac-toe game view equal to new. Okay, when I run this, I just get a window. Okay, nothing is inside. Okay, so our basic JFrame window is fine. Then we start adding the panels. Okay, so the main panel. Okay, so private JPanel main panel. Okay, then the main panel within itself, I need to import this. The main panel contains the center panel and the top panel. Okay, the center and top panels. Okay, so private JPanel, top panel, private JPanel, center panel. Okay, so now we need to add panels to this JFrame. So I'm going to write a helper private method, set up the JFrame. Okay, JFrame. Yes, I'll say setup. I'll say private void setup. Okay, so we create the top panel. Okay, create the center panel. Okay, create main panel and add center and top panel to it. Okay, add the main panel to the frame. Okay, so creating the top panel, we have top panel equals new JPanel, and we created with a flow layout. Okay, what do we need to add in this top panel? We need to add a message. So a message is displayed in a label, so we create private JLabel. Okay, label message. Okay, creating this label message. Okay, and my first text is going to be player say X goes first. We just want this to be shown right now. We will see how we manipulate this message, right? Okay, creating the top panel, adding the flow layout, and then top panel dot add label message. Okay, so the top panel contains the label message. Then we create the center panel. So center panel is equals to new JPanel, new grid layout. Okay, grid layout contains how many rows, how many columns? Board dot size. Okay, and now we need to start copying code from our previous version. So I say control copy, control V. Okay, so I say board dot size and board dot size. Okay, now create main panel. So I'll say main panel is equals to new JPanel, new border layout. Okay, so in the main panel, okay, we were adding at now the top panel and center the center panel. So main panel dot add, okay, we add top panel in border layout dot north, okay, and we add center panel to border layout dot center, okay. Then we say set content pane, we say main panel, okay. So let us run and see, and what do we get? So we only see player X goes first because that is the only visible control we have, okay, on this GUI. Player X goes first. We'll add buttons and then we'll see how the buttons are shown, okay. And as I told you, if I don't add this, okay, I run this, okay, I close this, but I still have my program running, see, okay. So I have to quit the program, okay. All right, so let's set default operation on close. Now we need to add tiles, and I'm going to create a custom class that will be holding the buttons, okay, the tiles, okay. So private class tic tac toe tile extends JButton, okay. All right, now why am I creating my own JButton class? Because I want one more member in this class, which is the box number, okay. Because in our previous code, each location is defined by a box number as a private int box number, okay. And when this tile is created, okay, it has to have a box number. This dot box number is box number, okay. Then I add one more method, set marker, because once you click on these buttons, okay, X or O, whatever be the marker will appear, right? And once you have placed a marker on a button, you cannot click that again, okay. So the button has to be disabled once there is a marker placed on it, okay. So I set text, okay, it takes a marker. I set text of this button to this marker, and then I set enable to false, okay. That is, once you set it as X or O, it is disabled, okay, right. And I need one more getter, int get box number, okay, to return box number, okay, right. So our, let me just put this after this, okay. So our button is going to be a 2D array of these tic-tac-toe tiles, okay. The buttons, okay. So private tile buttons, okay, a 2D array, and this array is created here in the setup, okay. So create the buttons, okay. So buttons new tic-tac-toe tile, okay, board dot size into board dot size, okay. Now since this is a 2D array, all locations are going to be null by default, so you have to create each individual button. So I say I is equal to 0, I less than board dot size I plus plus, for int j equal to 0, j is less than board dot size j plus plus, okay. And then I say buttons of I comma j new button, okay, tic-tac-toe tile, and I have to start with a box number which starts with 0. I say box number, say box number plus plus, okay. Now we have created the buttons. We add buttons to the center panel, so we say add buttons to center, okay. All right, since this is a grid layout, so we keep adding row by row, okay. So I use this nested for loop. I say center panel dot add buttons of I comma j, okay. Now when we run this, okay, we see we have buttons we can click on, okay. You can make the width and height similar, okay, so that we have squarer buttons. Height is going to be a little more than width, so I'm going to say 420. This should give us a better square view. Yeah, nice, okay. So we have buttons and a label on top, okay, right. So the view is ready, okay. So currently in our main we are creating this JFrame, and that is why we are able to say the window, right. we want to run the game and then see the window. So that is we want to link this view to our current game now. Okay, so I am going to create a new class Tic Tac Toe controller. Okay, so this class is responsible for communicating view with the current model. So model what we have is a tic-tac-toe game. The view we have is what the user can see. So input from the view goes to the controller, and then controller that communicates it to the game. There is a response from the game that is communicated by the controller to the GUI. Okay. So for this we need the model, okay, and the view. Okay, the model is going to be the tic-tac-toe game. So I am going to copy the tic-tac-toe game from the previous class. And for this we also need player. Okay, so we have errors in player, which is using output, and in tic-tac-toe game, which is also using output. Okay, now in the case of this GUI, we don't have output to the console. We don't have input from the console. Output is the GUI view that you see. That is the output itself, right? Because you can always see the state of the game, right? You can always see the board. The input is basically the click from the board. So in short, in this version of tic-tac-toe, we don't need input and output classes, and that is what I am going to do. I'm going to comment this, okay, and I'm going to comment this as well. Okay, comment this, comment this, comment this, and return 0 for now, so that our code compiles. I'll just comment it all. Okay, so I'm going to comment this, return 0 for now. Okay, so the code compiles. Okay, commenting this and commenting this, and a code compiles. Okay, going back to the controller that needs a model, so I'll create the tic-tac-toe game. So private tic-tac-toe game, tic-tac-toe game. Okay, this is my model, and my view is going to be private tic-tac-toe game view, tic-tac-toe game view. Okay, the constructor is going to create the model and the view. Semicolon here. So constructor public tic-tac-toe controller. Okay, we create the game. Okay, tic-tac-toe game, and we create view. Okay, all right. So what we have here is popularly called MVC architecture. So we have model, view, and controller. Model is the building blocks. Okay, view is what the user sees on the screen, and the controller basically controls everything in behind the scenes. Okay, so whatever input is being provided to the view, okay, will go to the controller, which will decide what to do with that input. Okay, so this tic-tac-toe game view will also need a reference to the controller. Okay, so private tic-tac-toe game controller. Okay, all right, and this is taken when this view is created. Okay, so you set the controller. Okay, this dot tic-tac-toe controller is tic-tac-toe controller. Okay, and going back here, when you create this game view, you pass this controller. All right. Okay, now this tic-tac-toe game view will receive the input as a click on the button, and that is what this tic-tac-toe controller has to handle. So I'll say public void handle input from user. Okay, and the input will be the box number on which the user clicks. So int box number. Now this handle input from user method is called by the button on which the click is happening, because that button knows its box number which we are providing here. Okay, every tic-tac-toe tile, which is basically a button, knows its box number. So every time a button is clicked, it will call this method, okay, and pass the box number. So we need to add handler, so that whenever buttons of I comma j are clicked, okay, add listener, okay, new action listener, this method is called. Okay, so I will say tic-tac-toe controller dot handle input, it is buttons of ij dot get box number. Okay, so one thing that you notice here, you get a red mark here. Okay, you get a red mark here because we have I and j, which are variables in this loop. So what you can do is final int I is I, just copy the value of I, final int jj is the value of j. So, and instead of I, you do I and jj. Okay, don't use variables, use final variables, final values, because it says, okay, so behind the scenes what happens is you have a copy of this current value I within this anonymous class. Okay, so that the data inconsistency does not occur, it just asks you to use a final value which does not change. Okay, so if you want to search more, you can take your pointer here. Okay, copy this error and look online. Okay, but this in short is the explanation. Okay, all right, so now whenever any button is clicked, this method will be called. Okay, so what I can do is I can just print out a box number plus box number plus clicked. Okay, just know we are clicking the box number and we get the right box number. Okay, and in my main I will simply create a new tic-tac-toe controller. New tic-tac-toe controller. Okay, so I get the view. Okay, and when I click the button I get the box number. So box number 2 1 0 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay, right, so I am able to get input from my view to this controller, which now can pass it to this tic-tac-toe game. Okay, all right, that is why in the previous video, if you have seen my previous video, I was also giving you an option to further decouple input and output from this tic-tac-toe game. Okay, but I guess that was an overkill for the purpose, for the OOP purpose we were trying to solve. So this was okay. All right, okay, going back to the controller, it has to handle this input. So in our previous version, when we were in this player class getting the move for the box number, we were validating the box number and checking if the box number is empty or not. Okay, in this case we don't have to worry about both. Box number will be valid because we will only be taking clicks from the buttons which are valid box numbers. Secondly, once a button is clicked, we set the marker and disable that button, so that button will not be clicked again. So only empty buttons will be available to click. Okay, so we can be sure that the box number is valid. A box number once clicked, okay, cannot be clicked again. Okay, so basically set the marker for the current player in the game. Okay, so our board method has place marker. Okay, so I am going to say we write another method in tic-tac-toe game that basically places the marker. So public void place marker, okay, takes the box number and it will place the marker with this box number for the current player. Okay, so in my controller I say tic-tac-toe game dot place marker at this box number. Okay, and I also want this change to be reflected in my view, so that once a button is clicked, it is not clicked again. So set marker in the view. Okay, so I need to write a method here. Okay, public void set marker, okay, for this box number, okay, and this marker. Okay, so I get I as box number by board dot size, okay, and int j as box number percent board size, and then I say buttons of I comma j dot set marker at this marker. Okay, and once this set marker method is called, it will set the text as this marker and will disable this button. Okay, so if I am here in my tic-tac-toe controller, which is just now view dot set marker, okay, and box number, and your marker is going to be the current player which we can get from tic-tac-toe game. So I add a getter for current player, so I'll say public player get current player turn current player. Okay, so tic-tac-toe game dot get current player dot get marker. Okay, now when I run this, wherever I click will be shown X. Okay, and I cannot click once I've clicked. That's it. Okay, and why only X? Because in my controller I'm taking the box number to place the marker, and I'm just setting the marker. I'm not changing the turn. Okay, now change turn if the game is not over. Okay, so if tic-tac-toe game dot is game over, okay, then you don't change the turn, else we change the turn. So basically change the turn if game is not over. If the game is over, okay, show result. Okay, so I say tic-tac-toe game dot change turn. Okay, now you see when I run this, I get x, then o, then x, then o, then x, then o, then x, then o. Okay, we need to update so that we get the right message as well. Okay, right, now showing the result is done in this game as well. Okay, all right, show, and we don't need this play method. Okay, because we are not playing from the console now. Okay, so we don't need this print game result as well. Okay, but we need this very same thing. Okay, so if player x1, if player o1, okay, else game draw. Okay, so how do I check player x1? I can go back to my game and use this method. Okay, check winner player. So I can say public boolean player x1, okay, return check winner player x. Okay, player x1, and you can use this method instead of this. Okay, similarly you can do public boolean player o1 check winner player o, can use player o1. Okay, and now why am I doing this? Okay, because I can directly call these methods from outside this class. So I can go back to the player controller. If tic-tac-toe game dot player x1, okay, show player x1, okay, else if tic-tac-toe game dot player o1, okay, show player o1, show player o1, and if player, so this is the player o1, else will be game drawn. Okay, show game is drawn. Okay, so we need a way to show message on our view. So I'm going to go back to the view and I'll say public void show game result. Okay, string result. Okay, I will say j option pane dot show message dialog. Okay, so this, the second argument is the message and the title. So the message is going to be this result. Okay, and title is going to be game over. Okay, and the type of message this is j option pane dot information message. Yeah, information message. Okay, all right, and then once I show the message of the game result, I exit my game. Right, so for my controller I say tic-tac-toe game view dot show game result player x1, show result player o1 dot show result game draw. Okay, so in my tic-tac-toe game, right, we commented this play method because the UI is the display itself and we are getting input from the UI, and that is how we play the game. And we commented this game result because we are printing the game result using the UI again. Okay, we use rest of the code as it is. Okay, all right, and since in this play method, okay, we are using this current player dot get move, so we do not need this make move method in this class as well. All right, so player is basically a character marker now. Okay, even if you just use characters, chars here in tic-tac-toe game instead of player current player, it is going to work the same. Okay, all right, this player class is really not needed. Basically we can do that at the end of the video once we make sure we have the output going correct. Okay, all right, so let us just run this and see if we get the right output. Oh, we haven't updated the message, right? So what we do is after we change turn, okay, we go back to the controller, okay, we change turn, and I say tic-tac-toe game view dot show a message player plus tic-tac-toe game dot get current player dot get marker plus turn. Okay, and we code this show message method in our view. So public void show message, okay, string message. Okay, and where do we show this message? In this label message dot set text message. Okay, so now as the turn changes, we will be able to see that we have different label, okay, on the GUI. So running this again, okay, player X goes first. Wherever I click is where X is going to place its marker, and that is going to be disabled. Okay, now player O turn. Okay, so I have player O turn, then player X turn is this, player O places here, player X game over, player X. Okay, and I exit. Okay, so this time we'll try for a draw game. Okay, okay, game drawn. Okay, all right, this is how we have our 3 into 3 tic-tac-toe game on Swing GUI. Right, we were able to use most of the code from the previous video. Let's try to maybe make the board as size 4. Okay, all right, and we see we get a 4 into 4 game. Okay, so X O X O X O X and player X1. Okay, so 4 into 4 game works just fine too. So X O X O X O X O and player O. Okay, all right, so this was the solution to this problem to play the game of tic-tac-toe on Java Swing GUI, and this was the third video in the series. In the first video we just saw how to just create a basic functional text-based console game in Java. Okay, no object-oriented programming, nothing. Okay, in the second case, in the second video, we saw how we could create classes and arrange the code so that we could use the same code to add a view. Okay, that is the idea of object-oriented programming, that you can plug in the same code at multiple places, right? Then in this case we saw how we have the Java Swing view. In the next videos we'll see how to have a JavaFX view. Okay, same GUI with JavaFX, and we'll try to see if we can add an AI computer player that can play with us. Okay, so this was the solution to this problem, and I hope this was helpful. You like this video. So if there is any doubt, if there is a part you do not understand, please let me know in the comments. I always try to answer all your comments. And you can always let me know in the comments if there's a question you want to solve or if there's a concept you want to discuss. So please like this video, subscribe to my channel, let me know your thoughts about this video in the comments, and thank you for watching.